I'll be off this side, so we don't walk in front of them. If you
In order.
Are you all?
Why don't you hang out on this thing?
I'm Matthew Ward.
I'm Marissa Villafane.
I'm Andrew Kenyon.
I'm Josh Kenton. I'm Michael Stewart.
And smoking should be illegal in and around all public buildings. How many of you think that smoking in public buildings is no longer a problem in the United States? In 2004, Massachusetts made smoking in public buildings illegal. That's not the case throughout the country. Only 24 states, shown in dark red, have statewide 100% smoke-free workplaces, restaurants, and bars. This only represents 49% of the United States population. Since 1964, 1.5 million people, non-smokers, have died due to complications from secondhand smoke. That's an average of 50,000 people per year. There are 70 known carcinogens in secondhand smoke. It's very common for people to smoke in Vegas casinos despite efforts to stop this practice. Employees at the Wynn Las Vegas have complained of eye irritation, headaches, asthma, emphysema, and even cancer from being exposed to secondhand smoke. People who are regularly exposed to secondhand smoke have a 20 to 30% higher chance of getting lung cancer. This is someone who isn't really exposed to secondhand smoke, as their lungs are pretty clear. The red means healthy lung tissue. This is someone who's exposed to just secondhand smoke, which see the yellow is damaged lung tissue, and that's someone who smokes cigarettes. So it's someone with secondhand smoke exposure almost as bad as someone who smokes cigarettes himself.
Okay, now before you leave, I wanted to differentiate two types of secondhand smoke. One of them is side stream smoke, and one of them is mainstream smoke. So mainstream smoke is a little bit less intense. It is the smoke that's actually inhaled and exhaled by a smoker, whereas side stream smoke is actually the smoke that comes straight from the cigarettes or the cigars someone is smoking. There are significantly more carcinogens in it, and both are classified as a group A carcinogen, meaning they directly cause cancer in people. For some more facts, there are over 7,000 chemical compounds in cigarettes. In secondhand smoke. 250 have been proven to be harmful, and 69 plus are considered carcinogenic. This substance is linked to a lot of diseases like lung cancer, lymphoma, etc. And they are directly responsible for about 3,400 lung cancer deaths in non-smokers. So who is exposed? Everybody is exposed. 60% of Americans are exposed to secondhand smoke on a daily basis. So how does that affect everyone? Like I said, you're either exposed to different kinds of disease. A lot of kids, it increases their chances of getting SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. It weakens their immune system. They develop asthma. Would you allow someone else's secondhand smoke to harm you or your family?
No smoking in or around public buildings should be made a constitutional law. This would mean that if caught smoking in or around public buildings by an officer, then that person would be given a ticket or arrested and charged. With this being a law, less people would smoke in and around public buildings because they would fear being arrested. Although people may be afraid of the law, people break the law all the time. Along with the no smoking sign, there should be an enforcement of this law by a security officer, landlord, owner of the building, or even regular people. smoking is bad, and this is what is in cigarettes. If you're wondering how would you be able to smoke on your lunch break, there's an alternative to smoking cigarettes, which is e-cigs. E-cigs are a healthier, much healthier alternative to cigarettes. They have less chemicals, and they don't harm the body as much as cigarettes do. What can help people stop smoking around in buildings, or just people not smoking period, would prevent a lot of people from not smoking in around buildings. Anti-smoking ads are very great for this, and yeah.
So what if smoking in public buildings was still the norm? What would this mean? Well, imagine you have to go on a flight, and it's a long flight, and when you sit down, you know the person next to you is smoking. So you have to spend a 4 to 6 hour flight sitting next to someone who is throughout the flight just smoking. Can you imagine sitting next to that person? Look, he already has his next cigarette already lined up. Would you be able to calmly sit next to him and enjoy your flight? What about when you're eating? What about if you're in a restaurant and you're with your family or with your friends, you're enjoying your dinner, and then the table across from you, as they're about to start leaving, they decide they'll sit down and have a smoke. Would you be able to enjoy your meal? Let's imagine that if you're in this classroom, what if every third person in this classroom throughout the semester decided that it'd be a good time to smoke during the day? What if it was for all your classes? Can you imagine going a day where every single one of your classes there are people smoking in the classroom? In 2008, Beijing implemented a public smoking ban for 3 months. This ban took place in and around the area where the Olympics would be held that year. They did that because in Beijing, smoking is such a common thing that it's in every aspect of their life, or in some people's lives. Knowing that this would cause major problems for the Olympics and the athletes that would be there, instead of trying to move the athletes away from people that are smoking, they had to enforce this law. What would change if smoking in and around public buildings was legal as well as properly enforced? What would this mean for you? Well, imagine for those of you who live on campus, imagine not smelling smoke coming through your windows every day when you get home from your classes. Those of you who live right next to whose rooms are right next to the doors know about this. People will go outside, not even walk 5 feet away from the building and start smoking right next to your open window. If smoking was illegal in and around public buildings and enforced, you wouldn't have that smoke coming through your window. And the litter. Which of these two pictures would you rather walk out to on a sunny day? Would you rather walk out and have all these cigarette stubs right next to your door, or would you rather walk out and not see any of the litter around the doorways? By enabling this law, we would also put a huge dent in the amount of chain smokers. Just by making chain smoking much more difficult to do, it would deter people from their habit of smoking throughout the day. It would also discourage people from taking up the habit in the first place, but making it difficult to do, not as many people would easily fall into it.
So all of my teammates have already painted a good picture for everybody about the scenario that we're dealing with, where we need to happen and how to make it happen, what it would look like if it did happen. Matthew was talking about the dangers and effects and talking about all the different chemicals and harms that cigarettes and smoking can do to you. And he explained to you the situation that we're in and why it needs to be changed. And Marissa did a good job with that as well, talking about all the chemicals, the different everyday things that you find these chemicals in. You would never think of putting them into your body that way. So people smoke a cigarette and ingest these types of chemicals on a daily basis. Abdul talked about how we need to enforce this and some alternatives like the e-cig and how that will affect our environment and affect our daily lives. And Josh just painted a few great pictures for us about what life would be like in a world where people were smoking cigarettes in classrooms and how nasty that would be and how unfortunate that would be for everyone to deal with on a daily basis versus how nice it would be to walk outside and not see cigarettes littered in the ground and see people smoking in the same vicinity as you, ingesting your airspace in a negative way. So with all of that, I'd like to reiterate what we're here to do and how we would like to change. You could just, very simply, you can just do something, such as writing a letter to a local government official or attending a town or a city council meeting and saying something. Just being proactive. You could write a letter about the current law to say that's it and how it affects you negatively on a daily basis and explain why you believe that the law needs to be changed for safety purposes, just daily health, anything like that. And you could also ask, you could speak to the owner, the landlord of the building, the owner of the building, your boss, security, anybody to step up and make an impact on enforcing smoking laws and rules to what they should be. For instance, I live right above the patio in Oak Glen, and there's always people smoking cigarettes outside there. I frequently smell the cigarette smoke. Well, I've never once said anything to anybody just because it's kind of an awkward conversation. But if someone like me or you decides to say something like that, then it could make an impact, and it could give us a cleaner environment to live in. Also, you could write a letter and ask the landlord to put up a sign, simply put up a sign outside the building where you know that a lot of people smoke, and just clearly identify that you must be 25 feet from the building to be smoking a cigarette. Just things like that, just some deterrence could go a long way. Other than that, we'd just like to conclude by saying that we think that passing this law is the right thing to do, and we'd like to see the entire country not allowing cigarettes to be smoked inside or within a confined space to the building.
That was 13 minutes.